Shara Carruthers from Bliss Body and Soul. I am an Ayurvedic practitioner and lifestyle consultant. I'm also a wellness mentor, a wellness coach for women who feel like they have lost their mojo and they are looking for a natural and a more unique, sort of individualized way to get it back. And as I mentioned to you before, today I am talking about seasonal transition. We are all in it. And so if you've been feeling maybe a little out of sorts or perhaps a little untethered, maybe just not quite yourself, if the digestion has been a little bit strange, know that these are the sorts of things that happen during the seasonal transition. And it's interesting, when we begin to kind of tune in to these things, that's when we actually start to realize the correlation between the time of year, the time of season, and what's actually happening in our minds and bodies. And I talk a lot about about how much our physical, mental, emotional experience is impacted by what's going on around us. And so it pays us so much to pay attention and to take steps to rebalance ourselves. And so this seasonal transition, which what we call in Sanskrit is Sundy. Sundy means seasonal transition. This time is basically our time to prepare ourselves for what's next. Technically, this time goes about a month, give or take, usually a couple of weeks either side of the equinox. So the equinox for this seasonal change is going to be the 21st of March. And so now is the time. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about three really powerful things that you can do during this next month to kind of take this season into your own hands and also begin to ensure that it's going to be a great season for you, regardless of whether you're shifting from the summer to the autumn or whether you're shifting from the winter to the spring. So the first thing is take advantage of the change that's happening to change something that's going on in your life. What typically will happen is maybe we set some goals or we set some resolutions at the beginning of the year, and then we kind of hold on for dear life, or perhaps we let go of some of those things at some point through the year. I really like the idea of living truly seasonally, which means that we have to recognize that in every new season, we have different strengths about us. We have different interests even. We have different ways that we can be supported and ways that our environments support us. And so it's really a powerful thing to be able to let go of some things that are associated with the previous season and to set yourself some new goals or set yourself some new challenges for the season ahead based on who you are and who you can be in the season ahead. And so I always use this seasonal transition to do a little bit of thinking. What was working for me last season? What typically will work for me in the season ahead? I'm here in Australia, we're moving into autumn. I like autumn, but I don't like colder weather. And so I have to think about who I can actually be in this season ahead and set some goals for this season that can match that. When I do that, it means that staying balanced, staying healthy, and staying happier is much, much easier than trying to struggle through living towards something that is much, much harder in this season when I maybe don't have the warmth, or maybe I'm limited in terms of what I can, going inside or outside, that sort of thing. So let go of something, change something in your life. In particular, change something that's not working. So that's the first one. The second one, and this one's kind of one of the hardest ones for people, especially for busy women, rest. So this next month, as I mentioned, it's a time where the energy of this time is really variable. And when we have a lot of change happening, typically it can wear us down. It can wear us out. And it can impact our immune system. And so rather than just continuing to power through all of the things that you're maybe currently doing or continuing to kind of build on all sorts of new activities, this seasonal transition is really a time to rest. And resting is relative. So that's an important thing, because I know a lot of really busy people think rest, I haven't got time for that. I haven't got time to sit around. What's important to consider is maybe saying no to some things that you might normally say yes to during this time frame. or maybe ensuring that you're getting the sleep that you need. Now, that's something that you should be doing throughout the year, but right now in particular, in order to avoid illnesses, our immune systems can typically take a hit during the seasonal transition. It's really important that we get the right amount of rest, even if that's taking some time during the day to with some silence, just for meditation, just to rest your busy mind for a period. And then the last one, number 3, is eating light. So what we have to understand is during this change, can you imagine situations in your life where there's been a lot of change? You can feel that your mind and your body are struggling to right themselves, right? Just like if you're standing maybe on one foot, that's kind of gives you a sense for what it's like. Your mind and body are struggling to deal with all the different things that are changing. Now, I know that what's happening, what's changing, is our seasons are changing. And so some people think, well, I'm doing all the same stuff as I was always doing. Why should I make any changes, or why should I do anything different? But what we don't always tune into is the fact that the change is going on around us. The change is going on in the natural world, and that change is actually having an impact on what's going on inside of us as well. And so the body can do a really great job of trying to create harmony or trying to reestablish the balance. But if there's too much for it to work on, it becomes more of a challenge. And again, we end up becoming ill. And so what's really important just during this next month, and really for as long as you can, is to make sure that you're eating light. So what do I mean exactly by eating light? Well, in terms of physical food, eating light is going to be food that is ensuring that you have food that is cooked, food that is easy for you to digest. And so what that typically will mean is trying to stay away from some of the strange combinations that we sometimes, we like to pack as many ingredients and flavors into our meals as we can. Maybe stepping back from that a little bit and keeping your meals quite simple. That's really good. So kind of staying away from too many ingredients, and also perhaps adding some lovely spices into your meals. Those things will actually help to boost your digestive system. I like things like soup. I like things at this time, so something that's really warm. Nourish bowls are pretty good as long as you keep the number of ingredients kind of contained, as opposed to a nourish bowl like 12 different ingredients. Porridges are great. Stews are terrific. Again, keeping the number of ingredients pretty tight. Those sorts of things are going to be really great for you. And even some salads with a warm element. So maybe that's a roasted vegetable or some sort of warm grains in a salad, especially if you're moving from the winter into the spring. Those are the sorts of things those are the sorts of foods that your body is going to be able to move through pretty easily, which leaves you a lot of energy to deal with everything that's changing around you. And as well as that, you want to keep your portion sizes. Your portion sizes contained as well. In Ayurveda, we say that the right portion sizes are what you can fit into your 2-cupped hands. So some people are like, 2-cupped hands. You want to keep the portion sizes, well contained, especially over the next month. And then also we've got to remember that food is more than just the food that we eat. It's also the information and the ideas and all the different things that we come into contact with. And so now over this next month is also a really good time to kind of keep that contained too. Maybe watching a little less television, maybe interacting a little bit less. Just again, all of these things are going to fulfill on that second one, which is giving your body the time and the space that it needs to rest. You will notice if you take on some of these things, if you move through this transition with some kind of intention, by becoming aware and then by making changes, it will make all of the difference in your energy levels, in your degree of clarity, and perhaps even in your degree of courage to take on some of the things that you've set, or some of the goals that you've actually set for yourself this year. And so this really is a secret to creating a fabulous year. So thank you so very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those into the comments and I will answer those for you. I will be back next week on Thursday at 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time with another subject to talk to you about and some more Ayurvedic goodness to share with you for your life and the life of the folks who surround you. So thank you very much once again. Until then, namaste.